In business news, recently, Finance and National Planning Minister Situmbeko Msokotwane presented a supplementary budget seeking to raise 33.6 billion kwacha through a mix of domestic borrowing and new tax measures. Among the key announcements were increases in excise duties on cigarettes, alcohol, spirits, sugary beverages, and changes to import surtax, manufacturing input tax relief, and withholding tax on securities. Joining us in the studio to unpack what these changes mean for Zambia's productive sector is Ashu Sagar. He is president of the Zambia Association of Manufacturers, which represents over 200 companies across 20 industrial subsectors. Obviously, yours is a very huge task, looking at the number of companies that you represent in your capacity as president. Speak to us. What really is ZAM's overall response to the supplementary budget that was recently announced by the Minister of Finance?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I think the Minister of Finance introduced almost 9 measures, tax measures, in terms of trying to fill the gap in his supplementary budget. But of concern for us, of course, is 6 of those 9 directly affect the manufacturing sector, and specifically in some subsectors, like, as you've mentioned, the cigarettes, spirits, beer, even on general manufacturing when it comes to SI 110 in terms of reducing its benefits and the surcharge taxes. And then you have a 1% minimum tax on income tax. So all these measures have, I think, a direct bearing on the manufacturing sector specifically. And of course, we were taken aback. It's a mid-year tax review, very unusual in our history. And of course, we do feel the minister has had his reasons, and the government has its reasons. We have a very good macro environment at the moment when it comes to stability in the exchange rates and what we're seeing with fuel prices. But this, I think, took us a bit by surprise. We were not expecting this. And of course, we are trying to still see if there's room for government to try and change the path that we're taking.
So there's disquiet among the manufacturers?
We're very concerned. I mean, disquiet is a very strong term, but we are very concerned, and we know it's going to affect a lot of the manufacturers, and overall in terms of also how it filters down to consumers in some of the products.
Let's speak to some of the products that will be affected. For instance, the excise duty on cigarettes, as highlighted, is proposed to rise from 452 to 750 kwacha per mille. A 66% jump, obviously. What does this then mean to this sector?
You see, for this sector, you have to understand that right now, what is the biggest problem we're facing is illicit trade. The more you increase a tax on a product like this, the more the incentive for the smuggler. Now, when you have a situation where on an imported product today, it's supposed to be paid at 90 kwacha a carton, is your excise duty from an importer. Imported cigarettes are selling at 90 kwacha. Nobody's paying any taxes, right? So what it's doing is you don't have a level playing field to justify increasing taxes. What's happening is you're going to affect government's revenue in achieving its targets, because people are not going to smoke less. What they're going to do is stop smoking the local product and move to a smuggled product. You're going to find your revenues are actually going down. And that's one of the biggest problems, is the illicit trade is not being controlled. Level that playing field, raise all your taxes that you want.
So then that argument obviously extends to alcohol as well, because of course there's been some significant increases.
Precisely the same. You see, the incentive to smuggle is based on the taxation regime. So the higher the excise tax, the higher the incentive to smuggle. And that affects the local manufacturers. So we've been continuously trying to find ways that government creates a bigger enforcement environment to make sure that smugglers do not get their products onto the market. And that has been a key problem, where the unfairness in the economy, where you're competing with people who don't play by the book, is a problem. So what you're having now is taxation is coming back to the same old people who've been paying before. So it's a tax for the few rather than tax for all. So, and this is what we need to change.
We will have to further this discussion at some point. I'd like to thank you so much for your appearance tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great.